Phillies are up 6-1 in the top of the ninth inning. We're finally doing a post-game show where they didn't lose, I think. That's jinx free. Join us next. Welcome into the soon-to-be Phillies post-game show. Jamie Lynch, Renee Washington, Tyler Zulli with you. We're going to be joined by John Foley after the game, after Rob Thompson's presser, because obviously we all kind of wait a little bit with bated breath about Spencer Turnbull's condition here as Bryce Harper gets a little single in the ninth inning. Renee, man on first and second, no outs. But Spencer Turnbull's injury status, aside from Brandon Marsh, the story of the day here. Hopefully he's all right.
I was going to say, yeah, the injury to Bull definitely has stolen the show a little, because now just leaves you wondering and curious of what's next and what does this mean. And there are options here, as we know, and we'll be able to dive into them. But I'm definitely curious to hear soreness, shoulder soreness, right shoulder soreness at that makes me nervous, but it's okay.
Yeah, hopefully it's just precautionary.
Yeah.
Hopefully, he's getting back in the starting rotation. They're stretching him back out, and he felt a little something discomfort-wise, and they just said, "Hey, it's not worth it. Let's take you out." And
right. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. So John Foley's going to join us after Rob Thompson's presser here. But the story of the day, I guess, other than that, is Brandon Marsh. He's having himself a day, which is really good to see, because I feel like, let me open a Miller Lite right here for Brandon Marsh. It's been a long time since we've seen that offensively from Brandon.
Well, also since he's returned back from his hamstring in general, he hasn't been at the same level, which we kind of expected. Even though he wasn't out for a while, it still messes up your routine. Of course, also just missing on the London series and working back in with the team. So great to see him get 4 hits and then that home run. First in exactly 2 months to the day, when back on April 26th, the Phillies won 9-3 over the Padres, that Brandon Marsh last hit a home run. So that's something we didn't even realize, that he's been on this, home run non-hitting streak, I guess you can call it.
Like front? 2 months, that's a long time.
The word for that is probably drought. You could probably use that word.
My lawn's going through a drought right now.
Oh, it's so hot outside. Oh my gosh.
And apparently we're supposed to get some big storms tonight a little bit. And the ground is so dry, Renee, that it's not even going to absorb the rain. It's going to run off to lower levels. So lower plain areas could get flooding tonight.
Oh.
That's how dry the ground is.
Good Lord.
But hopefully this opens up the floodgates for Brandon Marsh a little bit. Really good to see, too, because it was a lefty starter there.
Mm-hmm.
And we've chronicled Brandon Marsh's struggles versus lefties. I think he was batting 163 as of the other day, or maybe 136. Sometimes I go numbered dyslexic in my head. So one of those. So really good to see him not only, get off the schneid versus the lefty, but just have a monster day.
Yeah.
One minor bitch and complain here before we get to the post game, and then we can forget about it because the Phillies won. Dusty Wathan had a terrible day at third base. What is going on there? And I heard Tom and Ruben say he's having a great year. He is. To not send Kyle Schwarber in the first inning was bizarre. And then last inning, he didn't send Bryson Stott as he was rounding third as the guy was just coming into his crow hop. Like, 2 runs. And look, it's not a big deal because the Phillies are going to win, but what the hell was that today?
It's not a big deal for this game, but it is concerning because we obviously saw Dusty at times last year be very passive in the postseason especially. And to see Bryson Stott, who was already halfway to home at that point, had all momentum. You look at where the ball was in the outfield to where Stott was, and with the speed that he has, let him go. I was really surprised, definitely by that one. But I don't think he's been... I don't think he's been awful. It just has been that the Phillies have been winning so much. It's one of those things that I don't think we've been noticing. But a day like today, where it's just kind of like it made no sense to hold them up. It was very eye-opening.
Schwarber thing was just dumb.
It was that's very yeah. And Schwarber's fast these days. Let him go.
There's the old Casty double play.
No, brother.
That's fine.
That's okay. Everything's fine. This is fine. Want to say what's up to our friends in the chat. Provolone John, Chris Lemmer. Let me see who was actually first, though, because I got an update here. It was Provolone John, number 1. All right. And you were talking about how you're watching on the MLB Network and the Detroit announcers are boring. Yeah, sorry to hear that. Sorry, not sorry.
I like that stadium a lot, by the way. Just like the view of it.
Oh, yeah, it's nice.
It's a
very
nice looking stadium.
It's very nice.
Skylar said the other day when we were watching on Monday night, she said, that's a beautiful stadium.
Oh,
and I was like,
noticing.
Yeah.
Nice ballpark.
And I was like, yeah, it is kind of a nice ballpark. Right downtown. You get the views of the city. It's big. It feels big. You know?
Yeah, and it's nicely in the city with like the scenic backdrop and everything. Philly 007, yes, as you're mentioning, been a while since we've seen Marsh carry a game for the squad. Definitely sad to see Turnbull go down, and Matt Deckard, as you were asking, it was right shoulder soreness after 36 pitches. That shoulder soreness bothered Turnbull. They pulled him. He was expected to actually go a little bit deeper into the game, but also being that this was his first start out of the bullpen, we didn't expect him, and I know we were talking about it during the game, guys. We didn't expect him to be able to go far into the game today, but
we expected
inning. More than 3 innings. So
what's
up, friends?
Hopefully, just precautionary. We'll find out from Rob after the game here. But one of the things is going to be if it is an IL stint, what do the Phillies do? Corey Seidman from NBC Sports Philly pointed out that this isn't a rush to a decision type of thing because of the off days coming up. I believe you can actually skip the 5th starter in the rotation twice. So you can go 1 through 4 here for probably the next 2 go-arounds. Then by then, is the hot spot on Taiwan's hand fine? Is Spencer close to coming back? You have Michael Mercado here, who, just as of like 10 days ago threw 91 pitches down in the minors. So he's been stretched out a little bit. Maybe you give him the shot. I don't really know who else makes sense. Junior Marte just came off of IL. He went down to AAA, so he could then take the spot of Mercado. So we'll see what happens and what they do. But there's no immediate decision needed, and hopefully Turnbull's fine.
That's the thing. In general, for Spencer today, this was his first start since April 30th. So we're talking about 2-month droughts for Marsh. Well, it wasn't too far after that home run by Marsh that Spencer Turnbull made his final start for the Phillies ever since he's been in the bullpen, of course. To be back in Detroit, we already knew this was like a very full circle moment for him. I didn't realize that he had such a bad ERA last year with a 7.26 ERA last season for the Tigers. Also had like a season, I guess it was 2 years prior that he had 17 losses in one season, which was like the worst across Major League Baseball. He doesn't have great memories here. In general, he had like a really tumultuous exit with them. And then to come back today and get injured, I just felt like, oh, poor guy. Like I wanted this to be a game where you lead the mound. He's feeling good. He's happy that he had like a positive experience back in Detroit. It's kind of like a, screw you missed out. As that ball gets dropped into the out. Okay. But overall, as you mentioned, the Phillies do not need a 5th starter for some time because of the off days. So the next time that a number 5 starter is truly necessary is going to be around July 6th. Prior to that, for the next week or so, they can afford to have, with the days off, just continue to run through with a 4-player rotation. So there's no panic immediately, but it is, of course, concerning with Taijuan Walker on the IL if Spencer Turnbull's injury is more serious, of what that would mean and who's next. But Michael Mercado, as you mentioned, you've got some minor options, quite literally.
Yeah, we'll see what this is apparently just a house of horrors for Spencer Turnbull.
I just feel bad, actually. You come back, and he's been pitching
First pitch
so
home
well.
run to Matt Vierling.
Right, he's been pitching so well.
Settles in nicely after that, and then leaves with an injury.
And then he did not. It was better. It was looking good until it wasn't. But the thing that I feel for is for him to have such an impressive ERA as a starter, top across the league, gets moved into the bullpen's, been still pretty sharp even with the shakeup of that. Oh boy, Alvy. And then to get hurt in Detroit, disappointing. I feel bad for him. And I don't know
what's
Jose? Well, now I'm starting to feel annoyed with Jose, but I feel bad for
Matt Vierling's having himself a day.
Yeah, what the heck? Jeez.
Bring Matt Vierling home. Well, Jose, that was wild.
Alvy.
And Garrett Stubbs is very short. Wow, that's high. Look at that Statcast. It's not even in the picture. Can't kill Stubbs for that one. But he is short, Jose. So throw it a little lower,
He is
please.
short. This is also true.
I look at Garrett Stubbs all the time. I'm like, how is this guy? I've stood next to him. I'm like, how is this guy a major league player?
He's so little.
It's really impressive when you consider, like,
I know.
You know, he gets the most out of a little body.
Not a little body.
Yeah, it's not a major league player body. It's just good for him.
Well, we know what he brings to the team. It's not height.
No. And Rafael Marchand's better. It will be interesting to see what they do. I mean, Stubbs is staying. Obviously, Marchand's going down, but just pull the plug.
I like Rafael Marchand. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
He as a backup catcher, if he can stay healthy, he doesn't maybe bring the vibes, but I saw some nice shimmies from him. He might have a little more in the tank.
Get that ball down, Jose.
Yeah, what is
My
Jose
Lord,
doing?
man. And I was just going to say, it was such a nice, spoiled bullpen game where, and not that anything's really on the line here, but a nice, spoiled bullpen game where you're just throwing Jeff Hoffman and Matt Strahm because they needed some work. Like,
right.
Hey, guys, go out there. Our starting pitching's been so good. Why don't you just go get some work in? And then Jose's going to come in.
Well, that's what it was also Monday with Orion. Like, we've been seeing that from the Phillies in general, where they haven't even had to go to bullpen arms out of need. It's just out of, like, you've been sitting too long. Alvy! You've been sitting too long. Let's get you some work in as the
Jose's been
Tigers score a run.
A little bit quasi-worrisome past 2 or 3 weeks.
What do you think it is, though? You think it's all the time off?
I don't know.
Like, the bullpen doesn't really do as much in general right now.
His location has not been good.
Like, you think they're a little thrown out of, or he specifically is a little thrown out of his, like, usual routine. Maybe needs to visit the fam also. Maybe he's got some Nick Castellanos. Needs to see his family and stuff.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of a pattern lately with him. Hopefully he can settle in, maybe get a double play ball here and just get the hell out of it.
Matt Deckard said, is this your first or your 10th Miller Lite? You keep stuttering.
Really? I know I stuttered once, but I didn't think
I
it was
haven't caught any
keep
stutters.
This is actually my first Miller Lite because I'm headed to the Sixers
draft
party. The botched double play. Heading to the Sixers draft party after this as the Phillies get the first out of the bottom of the ninth there. Stott kind of botched a little bit of a routine double play ball, it looked like. So just not an easy one to get out of. It's a postgame show. At least it's not a losing postgame show, Renee.
Is this true? We finally have gotten that.
Do we know the
drought
number
over
on that?
Of how many
losing post games we did in a row? It felt like 4.
I should calculate because what makes it worse is when you were off, we did a stretch of post game shows that were losing games. Also, we did like the Rockies. We had back to back. Also because I don't know. I have to calculate that. Yeah, and we are pretty behind. I know Provo and John's like, you guys that behind? We're behind, and then YouTube puts us even further behind, so it's like a double whammy.
Yeah, we're on internet TV.
Like, we're
and then
saying
streaming
these words
on the internet
right now, and you don't get them until like 30 seconds later, which is weird. We're in like the future.
Yeah, and this Hulu.
I watched SpongeBob today during our morning off. Guys, you should be proud. I was catching up on the Bob.
All right, there's the second out. Give him third. Who cares? Don't kill your arm. By the way, last night, Tyler, maybe you can answer this one. What the hell was Ranger Suarez doing on that cutoff? In the beginning of the game?
In the what?
There was a play at the plate, potentially, and Ranger Suarez cut the ball off 2 feet in front of Rafael Marchand. He was out of position.
I would have to go back and remember, because I don't quite remember.
He should be backing up Marchand.
Correct.
He had a brain fart, and it probably would have been a play at the plate. I really didn't understand. That's just popped into my head from last night's annoyance. That's all.
I guess. Well, yeah.
I don't know what Ranger was doing. I think he just had a brain fart.
Yeah. It was odd. I don't know. Yesterday was like a weird game in general.
Today was quasi-weird, too, a little bit.
Today's been kind of like dragging a little bit.
When Brandon Marsh gets like 5 hits, something's weird.
Yeah, it's been like a funky game in general.
Jose, I'm begging you, just end this, please. I'd like to start the official post-game show here.
Oh, boy.
Did you get your notification?
I did.
Well, Jose just hit 100 on that one.
I know. Provo and Johnson's not going to ruin the game for us.
All right. And, I mean, it's not like the Phillies are going to lose.
You never know.
You wouldn't be able to keep – even if you hit a 2-run home run here, Renee, you wouldn't have been able to cover that up.
That is so true. I don't have a good poker face.
Well, in Sixers news,
Or am I faking you out right now?
In Sixers news, Lauri Markkanen just followed Joel Embiid on Instagram. You excited?
Lauri doesn't make me excited.
All the outcomes are potentially bad.
The draft this season sucks.
All right, 2 strikes.
Everything
Come on,
sucks.
Jose.
Wow, we are pretty far behind. Oh, wow. Huh. Okay. Huh. Interesting. Very interesting.
There we go. Throw him out.
Go, Stubby! Woo!
And there it is. Phillies take care of the Detroit Tigers 6-2. Take the series out in Detroit. We were waiting for that. That was kind of inevitable. That got really annoying. But Jose gets out of it with allowing 1 run there in the 9th. Spencer Turnbull will be the story of the postgame show, but the player of the game, the guy that's going to get interviewed by T-Mac and Rube, right there, the hairy one. Oh, yeah. Brother Marsh with quite a day. We'll get into some of his numbers on the day in a little bit, but Brandon Marsh, good to see him get off the schneid here. Hopefully start a little hot streak as he goes 4 for 4, 3 singles and a home run, his 7th of the year, first in 2 months. Season high 4 RBIs, should have been 5 RBIs if Dusty Watham wasn't playing Cowards baseball. Ties a career high for hits in a game, a career day for Brandon Marsh. Love to see it.
And as we were talking about the droughts that we didn't even realize he was on, right on cue for him to be able to break that. He's back. He's showing against lefties he can also hit the ball well. And to have a day today, this has to be good for confidence and also to show, like, him and Trey are both working back from hamstring injuries. And, you know, you see them at times not look 100%, make some plays that are a little bit eyebrow-raising. And so it was nice to see him get a home run, be able to get those 4 hits, as you mentioned. Should have been another RBI.
Should have been a 5 RBI day.
It definitely should have been. So in my mind, Brandon got a 5 RBI day. But today there wasn't it wasn't an exciting game. And this is sometimes what we've seen from the Phillies. They're winning games. It's not always this like up out of your seat, thrilling game. Sometimes it's a snooze fest and they just are taking care of business. And you know where you can take care of business when you are snoozing, guys? That's what I'm sorry, Tyler, I really made you work on that one. That's with our friends over at Sleep Healthy PA. At Sleep Healthy PA, they are committed to helping Philadelphia residents stop the snore and find solutions for sleep apnea that will allow you to rest well and improve your health. Because when you have to deal with sleep apnea, and you're dealing with having all types of contraptions and things that you're wearing on top of waking up with the choking feeling, it's just really keeping you from having a good night's rest. So first things first is they want to make sure to help with the sleep apnea side, because sleep apnea is that choking feeling when you are in the middle of your night's rest, woken up. And so they've got Dr. Andrew Cohen, the board certified doctor in dental sleep medicine. Him and his staff will work one-on-one with you to provide first-class care that will meet your needs. They also will be able to help you get some better options around your CPAP machines. I've got people that I know that have CPAP machines. They're clunky. They get dirty. They just get very annoying. They're not the sexiest in the bedroom. And they also really just keep you from getting a good night's rest.
But if it is sexy to you, we're not here to kink shame your mask fetish.
If you like CPAP machines, then that's your thing. But if you are tired of CPAP machines, that are those clunky, cumbersome CPAP machines, you can make sure with Sleep Healthy PA to get a better option for you. The team there is committed to stopping the snore. They want to make sure that you are headed over there. Make sure to let them know that us at PHLY sent you so you can receive 15% off your initial checkup. They will take some time to work through a 2-hour initial exam with you, which is split into 2 sessions. They'll get some information they'll gather. They'll take a look at your medical history and imaging, and then they'll review the results and share some recommendations. So again, if you're experiencing some sleep apnea and you're looking for a custom solution to stop the snore, reach out to Dr. Andrew Cohen and at sleephealthypa.com or call 215-337-2501. And again, let them know that us here at PHLY sent you over to get rid of that clunky CPAP machine and deal with your sleep apnea.
Yeah, and while we're taking care of business, let me tell you about the people over at Game Time, because I actually use the Game Time app this upcoming Sunday. It's my wife's birthday weekend, and one of her requests was a family Phillies game. So I pulled up the Game Time app. It's the simplest thing in the world. I showed Skylar, my daughter, some of the seat views, the image of the seat views right there. We picked out a family of 4 tickets, and we're heading down on Sunday thanks to the Game Time app. And the Game Time app is the authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. prices on Game Time actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. Use the Game Time app again next Tuesday. I'm going to be at Wrigley Field, and we got our Phillies Cubs tickets on the Game Time app. They have killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views of your seats, lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets. It's just awesome. Last-minute tickets, flash deals, zone deals. Make sure you're utilizing the whole app. Last-minute deals. You can save up to 60% off buying last-minute for sports, concerts, comedy, and theater. Save even more with an exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or the event. Get a panoramic view from your seat on the app before you buy so you know what you're going to get. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing agency. So take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, just create an account and redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Did you guys know our friends at Sleep Healthy PA have a fun fact that 50% of marriages claim that like snoring is one of the reasons for
it's pretty terrible
unhappy marriages and divorces? That's wild.
I look like a guy that would snore more than he does. I'm a minimal snorer though. Because I think people see me and they're like, that guy.
I've seen you
that
sleep
guy
before
effing
on the
snores.
plane. I remember I walked past you on the plane sleeping.
Wow, the plane sleeping is garbage.
I mean, that's true. You're sitting up, so.
But I have been kicked out of the bedroom before. But usually it's when I'm in my cups, as they say. But you know, I know people probably think I snore a lot, but surprisingly low.
Do I look like a snorer?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. I feel like everybody snores.
You've said that before.
Yeah.
I like to think of myself as like one of the best sleepers. I'm peaceful.
Oh yeah. One of
I'm
the
peaceful.
best.
The blankets are usually in the exact same spot when I wake up as when I started. You know, if I'm in the cups also, then I will, be a little wild. But I don't snore. I don't sleep talk for the most part. So yeah.
So if you're just joining us, welcome into the Phillies postgame show. It feels like the first postgame show we've done in forever, where the Phillies didn't lose. They get the 6-2 victory out in Detroit. We'll recap a little bit of last night's pitchers duel that was pretty spectacular. But the Phillies take the series. Felt good going into the game today with Spencer Turnbull on the mound versus a bullpen game versus the Tigers. The Tigers' offense isn't really good. When Matt Vierling's your best offensive option, things aren't going well for you. So felt good about their odds of taking the series today, and they went out in there and they did it. And we'll find out Spencer Turnbull's status if you missed the game or weren't following along. He left in the at the end of the third inning with some shoulder soreness.
Yeah.
It's being reported as. Rob Thompson's going to talk soon. We'll try to get an update on that, and then John Foley's going to join us to recap what Rob had to say.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm looking forward to hearing what John has to say about Rob's post-game comments. I know for those that joined us in the top of the ninth, as we were talking through it a little bit, not a lot of things to take away from today, except for Brandon Marsh and Spencer Turnbull as the two keys. I know Joe's mentioning I came for the game recap, and he just walked into ads. Sorry, you came in at the wrong time. We were already live for like 20 minutes prior to that. But now that we have a chance to have another victory post-game show, as Tyler did a really good job of diligently finding out, we have been 17-8 for our post-game shows. So I think the
17-8 overall?
Overall.
That's
I think
good work
that
by you, Tyler.
our eight post-game shows, we definitely had like the first two series, obviously, of the season, but then it feels like the last six or so probably came in a row where we literally had, because I remember that stretch. The Rocky series was part of it, but it happened pretty back-to-back. So it's nice that we finally get a post-game show that is a victory post-game show. And honestly, it was uneventful. Like, I'm okay with that. I'm fine with you go up early. You never really feel like this game, especially knowing the Detroit Tigers offense, outside of the fifth inning yesterday, their offense hasn't shown anything that's got me nervous. And it was just a chance to see, okay, how will they win today? Because it felt like job is done. They were a little concerning with runners in scoring position to start off the game. The first 9 batters,
yeah, when
they
you
were
get bases
0-4.
loaded, no outs.
Yeah,
and for some reason, don't send Kyle Schwarber on a line drive to center field. What the hell was that, Dusty Watham?
Yeah, and
I'm
then
sorry to
because
get
of
my
that-
voice up in a win, but Jesus, man.
I know.
That was
Jamie.
ridiculous.
So
I know.
here's the only thing with that, though, Jamie. I get your
It was a
concern
hard
because
hit ball.
it was the wrong.
And I understand it's Kyle Schwarber.
It was the
But
wrong
he's
decision.
faster these days.
I get it was the wrong decision, but I will say this. The outcome became the same.
Yes, it did.
In the next at
But
bat.
that
I'm not-
doesn't excuse
I'm not
it.
excusing him. I'm
Yes.
saying based on what you know now, the exact same thing would have happened because the ground ball would have
Yes,
happened.
and
They would
Turner
have had
doesn't
runners on
advance
first
because he
and
threw to
second.
the cutoff man.
He's
it doesn't let
charging
him
in.
off
He's
the hook.
probably going to make the play. It's going to be second and third with 2 outs and a 1-0 game still.
You're Dennis Greening him.
Not disagreeing with you.
We
I'm
let him
just-
off the hook.
I'm just telling you.
We hold him accountable
Now
here.
that you know
We
all
don't
of
make
the
excuses,
outcomes,
damn it.
it's not as.
It's still
not,
the wrong.
It's not as egregious as you feel. It's the wrong call, but it's not as egregious
No,
as
it's still
you
as
feel.
egregious as it feels, even with the same results as the outcome. Because hindsight's 20/20. In the moment, what the hell are you doing?
It was the wrong call in the moment.
Bone
I'm not
broke
You
disagreeing
got to
in
be
the
with
center
better,
you.
field.
and you got to be better in the moment.
And you came in here to set up the post-game show when you missed him stealing Brandon Marsh's 5th RBI.
Oh.
Bryson Stott was rounding third on his way home, and then
Halfway
he
home.
throws the stop sign in as the right fielder was just getting into his crow hop. So, Dusty Watham, come on, man. Just
Some
be a
may
little
say
better.
that sign was as bad as that 95 South sign that we've seen.
I want to
him
keep
stop-
that sign. Don't fix it. PennDOT said they're fixing it. Don't fix it. Make it a landmark of our stupidity.
If you
Own it.
haven't seen the sign on 95
Central,
South. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Philadelphia.
And that decision by Dusty was pretty bad also because
We're not gonna bitch
it
in a
is a
win.
lot easier looking
gonna do
back
it.
now that the Phillies won and say like, it's okay. But these are the little things that we know as the season progresses, especially we're talking about deep playoff runs. It always comes back to me of, are we learning from these at the very least? Because I don't mind this now. If later on Dusty's a little bit more aggressive, let's Bryson go, let's Kyle go, and it pays off. Because I don't know, I get stuck on like, would I rather them be overly aggressive and make the mistake, or be passive and miss up on an opportunity?
Oh, I'm very dumb. I love being aggressive
I
at
like
all
being
times.
aggressive because I'd rather you look stupid and you tried.
Bryce Harper would have blown through that
I
stop
can't stand the
sign.
shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Like,
Yeah.
oh man, what
Make them
could
make
have
the play.
happened? Yeah, exactly. Make
Yeah.
them make the play. Bingo. But that is 3 series in a row that the Phillies have won after dropping back-to-back series. Nice to see. We talked about this stretch being a good time for them to get back into the routine, get back sharp, because coming out of the London series with days off and all the different things that unfolded around it, it felt like the Phillies in general were not looking like themselves, which is wild to think of because they were still winning games and they're still the best team in baseball. But now you do feel like the bats have been there. We've been seeing different players. Today it was Brandon Marsh's turn, and he's the reason why the Phillies won today's game. Even with them starting 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position and some questionable decision making early on. Once they got going, we got Nick Castellanos 30. He got an RBI. We got his 39th RBI, actually. We got Brandon Marsh going. It's nice to see. It's sometimes top of the order, sometimes it's middle of the order, sometimes it's bottom of the order.
Yeah, and Bryce Harper is going to be in the running here for another player of the month, a ho-hum, back-to-back MLB player of the month potentially. It's basically him and Ohtani for the month of June, but Bryce hit another hard one today. But the story of the game was Brandon Marsh offensively, and somebody in our Discord channel here shared Brandon Marsh's career home run spray chart. And when I first saw it, I was sitting next to Tyler on the couch. You were on the other couch, and I went, Tyler, look at this. I was like, this is impressive? ? Because it doesn't favor any field. He's basically spread amongst left field, center field, right field, and in between. And there it is. There's his career home run spray chart. There's not a ton of them, but he has as many to left field as he does to right field, if not more. A lot of right centers, but Brandon Marsh uses all the field when he does have his power. That's a really encouraging thing to see, albeit, he's never going to be a power hitter per se.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I think the variety that you're seeing from that is what's awesome to see. But Brandon Marsh, it's quality. He's doesn't give you a lot of home runs, but when you look at where he's spraying the ball, does a good job. I wanted to go back to also what you mentioned about Bryce, because I did see a nice piece that Corey Seidman had put out about Bryce Harper. I didn't realize the numbers for June are tremendously better than May, which is crazy. First of all, May was his first time being the NL Player of the Month. He hadn't won any sort of Player of the Month, Player of the Week accolade since becoming a Philly, which also wild in itself. But then when you look at the fact that Bryce Harper has been so much better in June, and According to MLB StatCast data, the only 2 first basemen in the majors who have had more outs above average than Harper are Christian Walker and Carlos Santana. Bryce also has had increases in everything. Coming into today, over 20 games into June, leading into today, Harper has been hitting .390 with 9 doubles, 7 homers, 15 RBIs, and 20 runs scored. His numbers June compared to May, tremendously better, and also just more of an increase between him and the rest of the league. His wins above replacement, some of your favorite stats, Tyler. According to Fangraphs, second in the NL to Ohtani, and overall fourth, according to Baseball Reference, behind Ohtani, Ketel Marte, and Mookie Betts. Defense at first base has been lights out. He's just been his metrics, his numbers on both sides of the ball have been so fun to watch. And honestly, even against someone like Tariq Skubal, who has been hard to hit for anybody. Lefty, righty, doesn't matter. Bryce was able to get off on him with a double. So it's nice to see Bryce Harper, who we've talked about this being the time that you're going to see him really rise up to show MVP-like play, definitely All-Stars, easy, but MVP play and show a different level of Bryce Harper. We're getting that right now, which has been awesome to watch.
Yeah, Bryce is going to be in the MVP running. There's no doubt about it at the end of the year. We'll see what happens, but it would be very cool to see.
He's my MVP3.
I mean, this man's headed to Cooperstown one day. There's no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so some of the game notes I have here as we just kind of live through the game, and then we'll talk to John Foley. We'll look ahead to the next upcoming series. Spencer Turnbull allowed a first pitch home run today to Matt Vierling, sent one into left field. It looked like it was going to be a house of horrors for him, but then he settled in pretty nicely. Yeah. I thought he looked pretty good for the most part, kind of had his command and his location there. Really unfortunate to see him leave with the shoulder thing, but hopefully Rob tells us momentarily that it's nothing major. But I thought Spencer Turnbull clearly a better, even if he's only giving you 4 innings, clearly a better option than Taijuan Walker.
Yeah, because in his 4 innings, the Phillies didn't give up 4 or 5 runs. I really do hope that he's okay, especially because I'm still so upset for the fact that he got hurt in Detroit, of all places, with how well he's been pitching. But as we know, this right now is Spencer Turnbull's opportunity. Get healthy, whatever it takes to get through this soreness. Hopefully it's nothing long or major that's going to cause, in the missed time. But this team without Taijuan Walker, with the way that its pitching staff has been consistently performing, that's a major improvement. And it's only the IL 15 for his blister and yada, yada, yada. But
hot spot.
Yeah, if you can figure out a way to...
So dumb.
So dumb.
Hot spot.
If you can figure out a way to lock in Spencer Turnbull as your 5th starter for the rest of the season, there's nothing the Phillies can do.
I'm kind of a little bit anxious. So if it turns out that Spencer Turnbull has to go on the IL here, we discussed it momentarily there earlier. I think the easiest option after they skip the off days is just to give Michael Mercado a little bit of a shot here. He recently pitched as high as 91 pitches down in Lehigh. So he's been stretched out for it. You give him those 3, maybe 4 innings if things are going well, give him an opportunity there. And then I think Junior Marte, you bring into Michael Mercado's, low leverage bullpen spot as he just returned from the IL.
Yeah.
You could do it that way. Otherwise, there's not a ton of guys that make sense to even bring up. I don't think Sam Aldegheri is even close to being considered yet. And then, outside,
they're not going to make a move for anybody that's not on the 40. So choose between somebody that's on the 40.
There's really no options.
Yeah, that's the thing, because when you look at
Tyler Phillips.
It's probably going to be, it would be Colby Allard, I would assume, who's not been very good in AAA.
Or Tyler Phillips. But it's probably just Michael Mercado because he's already here.
So Max Castillo
to fill the Mercado role.
Right. Max Castillo and Colby Allard are on the 40-man roster, but they haven't been pitching well. Someone like Mick Abel, who it's a shame because
they're not going to bring him anywhere near the majors.
No, but the crazy thing is this should be an opportunity for Mick Abel to get a crack. But he's got a 7.08 ERA and obviously isn't on the 40-man either. It's a missed opportunity for Mick Abel, who's continuously not performing well at all. Michael Mercado, I think, is a move that makes sense. As you talked about before, Jamie, in his 6 innings and 91 pitches in his most recent start at Lehigh Valley, that was 8 days ago. So time-wise also, he could be available to step right into that starting role. We obviously saw him have a really good debut in that 8-1 win on Monday. He seemed very composed. if you have to choose between, first of all, they don't even need him to make a decision at all because they have some time until July 6th.
I'm expecting an IL stint, so I think this is going to be a decision they have to make in time.
You feel like it is more serious?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm being a pessimist. This is a guy with a history of arm problem, and you hear shoulder, and it's like, yeah, I'm not expecting great news.
And unfortunately, this actually goes directly back to what we had been talking about before they moved Spencer Turnbull to the bullpen, because part of the reason why Taijuan Walker got the upper hand, aside from his contract, over Spencer Turnbull is the fact that Spencer hasn't been able to pitch more than, 56 games, something ridiculously low that he has. I'll pull up the number in a second. He hasn't made it through a season healthy, period. And to have him come in and be playing so well was great, but in the reality, you knew he couldn't maintain that throughout an entire season. And here we are, late June 26th, and Spencer Turnbull is dealing with right shoulder soreness. So it's everything that we knew, which is why the Phillies were able to get him for so cheap, which is why he wasn't going to be a long-term starter, which is why we knew a move to the bullpen would hopefully at least prolong the inevitable. But for him to have had, in 2023, he played 7 games. He pitched 31 innings. In 2021 was the last time before that with Detroit. 9 games. He pitched 50 innings. He hasn't been able to pitch more than 56 innings since 2019 in a season. And that was the only season he pitched more than 56 innings. So it just has been such an injury-plagued season for Spencer Turnbull, or career, for Spencer Turnbull. And it's a shame because he's got some good stuff, but he's not able to maintain it. But you know, guys, who can help you maintain long-term some plans for your future? It's our friends over at Mortgage CS, because today's real estate market is extremely competitive. For prospective home buyers, maybe you're a prospective home buyer. Maybe you're looking for that dream house that you want to fix her upper, you want to get a vacation home, whatever it is you're looking to purchase. Well, with our friends over at Mortgage CS, they will help you find the perfect home, because they also want to make sure that they're in your corner, giving you support, helping you get empowered, educated, and be able to make the best offer to stand out amongst the competition. We like competition, guys. We thrive on competition, and we thrive on being able to excel past that competition and win. And you can win more with Mortgage CS, because when you are working with them, they're available 24/7. Their phone number for their CEO, Ben, right here on your screen, that you can reach out at any time. If you want to ask about house buying, or you want to vent and talk about Spencer Turnbull's injury, you can reach out anytime to Ben at 267-391-7425. Shoot him a text, give him a call. You can also reach out via email to Ben, ben@mortgagecs.com, because over at Mortgage CS, they want to make sure that they're giving you as much insight as possible to make sure you can stand out in the house buying process. They're an independent mortgage broker in the Philly area, but they are also licensed in several other states. So if you're tuning in right now and you're watching from Florida or Colorado or Maryland or New Jersey, Mortgage CS works with several states to provide their clients with a great opportunity. And so there's a reason why people are winning more with Mortgage CS. Call or text Ben now. See for yourself. And you can also go to mortgagecs.com/PHLY to check them out, or view their 370 plus perfect 5-star reviews by searching for Mortgage CS right now. Let them know that us at PHLY sent you, and know that this advertisement is not a commitment to lend or extend credit. Mortgage CS is an equal housing opportunity mortgage broker. All loans are subject to credit approval, and certain restrictions may apply. Company NMLS ID number 1464766, and you can visit mortgagecs.com for more information.
And let me tell you about our friends over at Bet Parks Casino, because Parks Casino is the perfect spot to get together, maybe after work, for drinks, date night, or even, Renee, a girls' night out. Because Bet Parks has got everything happening over there. You can sip on tantalizing drinks and soak up the warmer weather good vibes right now at Parks Casino. This is how you win. It's my casino of choice. And now they offer an epic $5 happy hour with food and drink every Wednesday through Sunday at the Liberty Bell Gastropub. $5 in this economy, that's a steal right there. Enjoy $5 drafts of Forged Stout, Victory Seasonal, or the Parks Pilsner, $5 glasses of Cabernet, and enjoy the drink of summer. $5 Twisted Tea, Frozen Whiskey, Arnold Palmer's. Hey now, I'm in for one of those. Plus, they have $5 small plates of braised short rib sliders. You had me at braised. I didn't even care what was coming after it. And hot honey chicken sliders, rotisserie chicken flatbreads, all and more in the epic $5 happy hour happening right now. Summer is here and all roads lead to Parks Casino, the #1 casino in Pennsylvania. Parks Casino has 3,200 state-of-the-art slot machines and over 115 live table games, a beautiful poker room, plus a collection of incredible award-winning restaurants. Plus, they have the best cover bands every weekend at the 360 Lounge, headliners every weekend at the 1,500-seat Excite Center at the Parks Casino. I've been there several times. It's an awesome spot. They just announced Tiffany Haddish on September 27th. She's extremely funny. That will be a good time. So check out tickets for all shows at parkscasino.com. Visit parkscasino.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Parks Casino, this is how you win.
Why didn't I get a date night plug? You put me in for girls' night?
Because it says date night or girls' night. You can take Preston Mattingly there on date night if you'd like. Or, maybe you have a girls' night coming up.
Preston, if you insist.
Yeah. We'll be talking. Rob Thompson is speaking to the media right now, so John Foley will be joining us pretty shortly. One thing that happened in the game today that you don't see very often anymore. A right-handed pitcher with a pickoff. Spencer Turnbull with a pickoff move today as a righty. And he also baited a pitch clock violation.
Yeah, he did.
He baited the batter into a pitch clock violation. So a very heady game from Spencer Turnbull before he left.
Hey, he knows his way around that ballpark. But that was like the third time that's happened this series. Like there's been a few of them. It's just been a weird. It's been a weird. The clock, the pitch clock, and everything's been bizarre. But anyways, love to see the heads up game within the game.
Yeah, he was one
Spencer
Philly
Turnbull.
that had his head in the game today.
Yeah.
You tell I was a little hung up on stupidity.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're a little frustrated.
Oh, it's such a good season and it's so fun. And it's like you're harping on a little thing, but the little thing should be so easy to correct.
Yeah.
Like their base running mistakes this year are just dumb.
Well, it's almost July and we're still saying this.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. I always say my concern is if you're getting this out now, that's fine. But yes, correct it. Because this team is winning and we don't want something small to bite them in the butt where they're getting in their own way, being passive in their base running. It's funny because we also have seen them be overly aggressive and go at times that don't make sense. But then we've seen the opposite of Dusty holding guys up like he did today with Bryson and Kyle. And it just doesn't make sense. I'd like some consistency, I think, in your base running. Let's get a sense of the balance of when to be aggressive versus when to be patient. I know Rob has talked about that it's hard to find that balance, but yeah.
Well, on the inverse of today's game, imagine being a Tigers fan.
Yeah, I know Tyler's got some sad numbers for them because it's not great being a Tigers fan.
It's you guys were talking about how it's not a particularly awesome offense by any means.
No, good pitchers.
It's unfortunate too because they had a stretch of 3 straight years where they selected in the top 3 of the first round. And, Spencer Torkelson had a power surge last year and then apparently forgot how to hit and had to get sent back down to AAA. Riley Green has, I think, 15 home runs, driven in 40 or 42 runs, hitting about 260-ish. So he's a nice piece to an offense that maybe has some bigger pieces to it. But to your point, you brought up Matt Vierling, and he's a main contributor on an offense that's not particularly strong. Casey Mize pitched game 1, and we saw that he was the former number 1 overall pick himself, and we saw that the stuff was clearly there, but he got a little bit behind in the first inning, gave up 4, really settled in, and I mean, he and the pitching staff did a nice job of racking up strikeouts, but they still gave up 7 runs at the end of the day. The Tigers have had a prolonged rebuild that really has become, I don't want to say disastrous, but it's pretty darn close to it because you've not gotten returns on investment of the young pieces that you believed could be your centerpieces. Where again, Riley Green's probably the best of the 3 right now, and he's a nice player. He's a good complementary piece type of player, but he's not a guy you hit 3rd in a good lineup. Spencer Torkelson should be a guy you hit 4th in a good lineup, but again, apparently forgot how to hit. The Tigers are marred in a really difficult, what's become a really long rebuild, retool to a point where it might be time to start thinking
And it
about
felt
it
like they
again
were closer.
because I believe their farm system's pretty good right now. I know Jace Young is down in their farm system. They've not called him up yet. I think that they have a fairly decent farm system, but this collection of guys that they kind of rose through the ranks together, it ain't it.
No, it's not good. But you know what? Hopefully is good. John Foley's going to be joining us, and hopefully there's some good news on Spencer
Fingers
Turnbull.
crossed.
I hope Rob Thompson didn't give the old well, we got to go get some imaging done on that, and we'll report back to you. But joining the show now, or very shortly, is our own John Foley. And real quick, Tyler, I'm trying to find where the Tigers are the 5th ranked farm system on MLB.
Yeah, that makes sense. I know they've got quite a few young, nice pieces. Like Jace Young was the one off the top of my head, but we talked about it. They're 20th in hits, 20th in doubles, 20th in RBI, 22nd in batting average, 25th in OPS, 25th in home runs.
Product.
They've struck out the 10th most time this year. Ooh. It's a really bad combination. They're just not a really good offense.
The only reason you weren't on in it for a sweep was because Tarek Skubal went out there and just dominated you.
And you did make mention, right? Like it's a decent. Well, I shouldn't say young because Jack Flaherty's a journeyman, but it's a decent rotation that unfortunately is marred by a bad offense.
John Foley joins us. John, what did Rob Thompson have to say about Spencer Turnbull?
Unfortunately, Jamie, it was exactly what you hoped he wasn't going to say, which is that they don't know yet, that they'll know more tomorrow. He said Turnbull felt something on his next to final pitch that he threw. He threw a curveball. Said he felt something sort of in his shoulder/back area. No update on it yet. But, at this point in the season, of course, they're going to act in an abundance of caution, take him out. So hopefully it was still more of a precautionary thing, but we don't know yet. And I would imagine we likely won't know until tomorrow the extent of Turnbull's injury.
Did anybody ask him about like the move to the bullpen and back up and it's he doesn't know, obviously he's not a doctor, but like I guess you don't grill him on that right away, but I wonder if that had something to do with the shoulder injury.
Yeah, Thompson didn't have anything to say about it, but if the chatter online is any indication, it's going to be a subject of discussion. People weren't happy when he left the rotation in the first place, so then for him to leave for Walker and then come back and then gets hurt, if he is hurt, and misses extended time right away, there's going to be a lot of people unhappy about that. How much it plays into it, going to the bullpen, coming back. I'm not a doctor either.
Possible,
but it doesn't seem great. I mean, like these starters, when they build on to be starters, usually there's a pretty long runway. Thompson did say that if Turnbull misses time while Walker's still out, that Mercado would be the quote leading candidate to take over that 5th starter role. I think they could sort of maneuver it as they're up against the break here and there's a day off. I don't think they even have to use a 5th starter if they don't want to.
They can go almost 10 days without using it.
Yeah, and you think by after the break, I think Walker's expected back, and hopefully Turnbull's okay too. But if they do have Mercado has been starting recently down in AAA, pitching well, went over 90 pitches in his last couple starts before coming to the majors to be a reliever, so he could treat this as a little in-between throwing day, his game yesterday, and probably get back on track without too much concern to be a starter.
Yeah, it definitely is. Back to your points about Spencer Turnbull, just a quick thought there, because I know people, as we know, are going to immediately be blaming it on the fact that Spencer Turnbull is put into the bullpen, had not started since April 30th, makes his start today. But as we also know, Spencer Turnbull's history of injuries, he did have Tommy John surgery in 2021. He's had shoulder injuries, back injuries. He dealt with a forearm strain. He dealt with an elbow injury, a neck strain. Throughout the course of his career, every season except for 2019, he's played under 56 innings, not even games, 56 innings that Turnbull has played. So he has been injury plagued throughout his career, and it's unfortunate now that we have to wait for the test results. But as you mentioned, Michael Mercado does have the ability to slot right into that role, and we don't have to have him play until July 6th anyways because of the different scheduling days off that the Phillies have. Was anything else said in regards to just overall pitching staff updates or, just kind of the plan moving forward, if they are going to have a timeline of maybe when that announcement is officially going to come out? I know Rob's not a man of many, many words, but anything that can kind of hint at when we can expect some news moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, best I got is probably not likely today. That it would be tomorrow, which, reading between the lines is a little bit of a concern. Just in that, that probably involves a true evaluation, maybe some imaging. The best thing to hear from Rob would have been, he felt a little twinge or something, so we took him out. It wasn't bad. It sounds like it might be more. As you mentioned, Renee, Turnbull is often injured. So that so you mix in an often injured player, and then at the same time, shuttling back and forth from bullpen to starter. It's a recipe, I guess, for what we saw today. I wouldn't be too down. Big picture, I'd take a look at everything we're thinking about. We're talking about the fifth starter. We're talking about the third base coach. If these are our concerns with the team.
You get into Dusty Watham, John? Got a lot of issues with him today.
Oh boy, we don't want the smoke again.
I mean, it hasn't been great. It's a thankless job, third base coach. Nobody's ever going to notice when you make great calls. But when you have a rough couple of days like Watham has, it really sticks out. So, we'll see what they do here. It's late in June. These are things you're not going to worry about too much on a day like today. But if game 3 of the NLCS and you don't score a run that you could have scored on a sac fly, you might look at this and say, well, the warning signs were there. So.
Yeah, seriously. John, Bryce Harper, potentially going to be NL Player of the Month for back-to-back months. He continues his tear. This guy's incredible. I've heard the discussion in the discourse this week, whether it's sports radio or Twitter. If he gets a ring, he could be the best Philly ever. And I'm like, all right, Mike Schmidt was the best ever third baseman. He can certainly get close and maybe eclipse him, but Bryce Harper on an absolute tear right now.
Yeah, he's playing out of his mind. And yeah, I think you've heard a lot of people say it sort of feels like quietly playing out of his mind, and that we don't make a big deal about it anymore because it's what we've grown to expect from Bryce Harper, fair or not. I think he's certainly in the MVP conversation already. I think if his numbers stay anywhere close to Ohtani's, you have to give it to Harper. There's never been anyone playing solely designated hitter named the MVP before. I think it's tough to measure how much it should matter for Harper to play first base and Ohtani to sit most of the game. In my completely unbiased view, it should matter a lot. I know, folks will point to WAR and say, well, that's supposed to incorporate defense, and even with the defensive value, Ohtani has a higher WAR. But there's a lot of other factors that you can't quantify in there. The fact that Harper's able to play first base allows Schwarber to DH, so you don't need Schwarber in left field, so you can put someone else in left field. There's all sorts of benefits for your team when an individual is able to play the field, and it might not show up, it might not be quantifiable in WAR, which I don't really trust anyway, because it says Ryan Howard is barely an above average player over the course of his career. So all I have to say is I think Harper's going to have a really strong case for MVP by the end of the season. To start having a conversation about the greatest Philadelphia athlete of all time, I think that's a conversation for another day. I don't think he's not touching Mike Schmidt right now, let alone like some of the folks in other sports. But he's great.
He is great. He definitely is. And to have 7 home runs, 24 RBIs, a 313 average, 407 OBP, 583 slugging, and a 990 OPS in May, and then to follow it up in June with already, as of today, 7 home runs, 15 RBI, and his numbers haven't updated since postgame for today yet, but came into today at least with a 390, 468, 756, 1.224 OPS. Bryce Harper is quietly continuing to get better as the season goes on, and it's been really fun to watch. I know we were talking about it before you came on, John, and as you mentioned, like MVP conversation without a doubt, even with just the fact that he's been locked down into first base and been phenomenal defensively for the most part, minus the occasional blooper here and there of his footing or something. But another guy that actually broke a nice drought today, Brandon Marsh. 2 months exactly to the day since he had hit a home run. He had 5 in all of April and has had 0 since then. And Brandon Marsh today, 4 hits, a home run, could have had another RBI, as we talked about before, if Dusty wasn't being a little bit passive there. But anything post-game around, even on the offensive side, production-wise, in terms of Brandon Marsh and, overall what Rob had to say about the team?
Yeah, I mean, everybody happy to see Marsh doing well. He was the player of the game, getting attacked by the daycare in the post game interview. It was great to see. You start to wonder, was he 100% when he came back from that from his own injury? He certainly looked 100% today. I know at least one of those hits came off of a lefty, which is of interest for those who really want Marsh to be out there every day. He's a great player. He's a fan favorite. I'm very much of the opinion that now here in June or July would be the time to maybe give him a chance against lefties and see what he could do with some extended play. It would be at the expense of Whit Merrifield. I know fans would be very, very sad about that.
Oh no.
Not Whitley. Sarcasm.
Yeah, not the crowd favorite. So we'll see what they end up doing there. But even if it's still sort of in this almost platoon role, it's great to see Marsh rolling along.
John, do you have any Jose Alvarado concerns? It's not major right now, but it feels like the last 2-3 weeks he's kind of labored through a lot of stuff. He hasn't had his location a couple times. I wouldn't say I'm concerned, but I'm starting to keep my eye on it. Any level of concern from you there?
Yeah, Jamie, I think I'm right where you are. That I haven't reached concern, but I'm at some point of like pre-concern. It did.
We're like the precogs in that movie.
Right. It's you see this a lot with really good closers, right? When they come in with a big lead, that they're not quite used to that, and things can get they can struggle a little bit in roles they're not used to.
It's terrible in non-save opportunities. A lot of great closers are terrible in non-close situations.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be concerned about him until I saw him come in with a 1-run lead and really get knocked around. Then that's not a concern. But yeah, he hasn't looked quite like himself. The good news is there that you have a lot of options in that bullpen. We saw it today. Spencer Turnbull leaves unexpectedly in the third. He got a shutout inning from Soto, Kirkering, Strahm. Who else? Who am I missing? But again, a lot of arms there. If there's any
Tyler's trying to shut me up here, John. He says Alvarado still only a 1.05 WHIP in his last 14 appearances. So
yeah. This is another guy. It's a little bit. It's kind of like Harper. This is another guy who's a victim of his own victim of setting the expectations that he has. Right, like we just see Alvarado, and this should be 1, 2, 3, and then he's giving up a run, and like what's going on here? But I don't think we need to. Again, I don't think we need to be concerned yet. And yeah, good job, Tyler, jumping in on those stats. Tyler
just bodied me. He was like, "Shut up."
I'm not concerned.
I'm not concerned yet. He looks like he's labored a lot lately.
Well,
he was missing by a lot today.
It's the product of a guy who throws hard and at times can be effectively wild. You are going to look at that and go, okay, his location wasn't particularly strong today. But I mean, we could take it into a smaller sample size of the last 6 2/3 innings that he's pitched, which is 7 appearances. He's given up 8 base runners in 6 2/3. It's a 1-2 WHIP. He struck out 10. He has given up 3 earned runs. It's a 4.05 ERA over a very, very small sample size. You stretch that out to 15 games, it's 2.5. You stretch it out to 30 games, it's 2.22. I have no concerns over a lapse in command over a 4-game sample size or a 6-inning sample size. It doesn't bother me nearly as much.
Yeah, I know. But as bullpen arms are viewed in small sample sizes.
Well, sure. Yeah. But if you stretch it even further, it continues to get better.
Again, I'm not concerned. Just something I've noticed lately. That's all.
His June numbers. have been a little worse, I guess, than May because he does have, as you talked about, that sample size of like the last 7, the last 15, the last 30. As of today, he does have a whole 3.12 ERA in the month of
Guy
June.
stinks.
And he's had
Make some
8
more
and
friendship
2/3
bracelets.
innings pitched. He's given up 6 whole hits, 4 runs, 3 of those earned, and then has, hit batter once and 2 walks. His whip, I mean, it's in a .92 whip. It's not.
Yeah, it's
how dare he?
It's one base runner over the last 4 appearances prior to today.
But the location of his pitches are definitely concerning because today it was wild. When you looked at some of the pitches that he was throwing that were nowhere near the strike zone. So I think when you look at that, it's like outside of the numbers, to your point, Jamie, we're not seeing
It's just optically.
It's not like the usual characteristic types of performances that we see from Alvy.
Yeah, I think that really the main thing is as Phillies fans, we need someone to be concerned about, right?
This is also true.
We're going to stay here for a week talking about Dusty Wathan.
I'll talk about Wathan for the rest of the year.
And we can't be all positive patties out here. There's got to be someone that's not performing at the level that we want them, and we got to hold them accountable. We don't let them go along.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
All right, John.
Exactly.
The Marlins coming in for a 4-game series. You'll be covering the games live from Citizens Bank Park. Hopefully they just slaughter the Marlins because another bad team. These are 2 kind of clunkers before the schedule does get pretty difficult here. So it'd be great for them to kind of come home and just take care of the Marlins and stomp them.
Yeah, absolutely. 4-game series against the Marlins. I mean, you look ahead and you see the Braves, you see the Dodgers coming up before the break.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it's a microcosm of the season, really. And we're just bank those wins now against whoever, they all count. Get those wins against the Marlins. Anything less than 3 would be disappointing. Like to see 4. You got your top 4 starters going against a team that you should be able to handle. Let's pick up 3 or 4 wins and then see what happens from there. There should be some great crowds again. I would expect nothing but sellouts. I think Thursday's fireworks, which would sell out even in the old days.
Yeah.
So it should be a fun series coming up.
Yeah, they have lost at least 4 of their last 5 series. I think it's a lot more going back to that. They don't win a lot. They haven't been winning a lot. They're significantly below 500. The Marlins, we know, are one of the teams that are just in pure chaos right now. And as you mentioned, John, looking ahead for the Phillies, it's a great point because their schedule does really ramp up through July and even into August, where it's a lot more travel, a lot of West Coast games, some late games. And then also you do have some tough teams like the Braves, the Dodgers that are coming up in the next month. So I like these back-to-back chances to really refine things. And now that we know Spencer Turnbull might be out, as we're still waiting for the, of course, official word, this gives you time to figure things out.
So he in the locker room said, hopefully it's no, let me get the exact quote. Hopefully it's fine, not too concerned about it. So I feel like every athlete says that every time.
I was going to say, it's not too concerned, like it's only 2 weeks versus like what is that? Yeah, every athlete gives that answer.
It's a generally vague cliche that all athletes say.
I mean, Taiwan Walker gave us I'm 100% healthy.
And then was on the IL.
Rob's like, no, you're not. No, you're not. There's a blister right there. I see it.
Right. We thought Taiwan was fine. And then within 24 hours, he's on the IL. So, yeah. But it is a very cliche answer. At least he's saying that. And he's not vivid, very obviously upset and emotional where there's something serious there. So,
all right, John, as we let you go, Tyrese Maxey was named to the Celebrity MLB All-Star softball game on the way out. Does Tyrese have game on the softball field? Yes or no? What do you think?
I'm thinking yes. I mean, he's just such an incredible athlete. How's he not going to go out there and crush it? I don't know where we can gamble on it. Maybe our friends at Bet Parks. But if my money would be on Tyrese Maxey having some serious softball game.
All right, well, we'll find out. John, we will talk to you soon. Back up in Philadelphia for the 4-game series with the Marlins. Keep up the great work. Make sure you're following John on Twitter and online at allphly.com for the latest from John and, of course, Jim Salisbury as well. So make sure you're reading those fellas.
Thank you, John.
Thanks. Take care.
See you, John.
I do feel like Tyrese Maxey we know he's quick. He's very aggressive, so he's probably quick and aggressive on the base
He was a really
running.
good football player, apparently.
And I think he might have some good. Yeah, I think he's going to be.
But baseball really exposes good athletes.
It
Like
does.
baseball's very different.
I don't know if he'll be good with his at bats, but I feel like he'll be good fielding.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Rip Hamilton, Coatesville's finest throughout the first pitch today in Detroit. Actually, he kind of went for it, like full wind up, fired it in there.
If you had thought the first
Kinda hit
pitch, would you go all?
Yeah, I would. I mean, I'm not going like max velocity, but I'm letting it rip.
You got to take the mound too. Like there's
Yeah.
Oh, you can't be on the mound. I'm going on the mound.
Yeah, I'm going on the mound.
What are you
I'm
gonna
throwing
do?
out a first pitch.
You guys gonna throw me out of the game?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Throw me out of the game.
Tyler, are you letting it rip?
No. Well, I'm not
Or are
gonna.
you just concerned about getting it over?
My bigger concern would be throwing a strike as opposed to throwing hard. So I'm not blooping it, but
Yeah.
like I'm also not gonna go up there and like
Little
go
zip
full
on it.
over the head, wind up, and yeah. I mean, I'm probably gonna, I'll probably throw it like I would have a catch. You know what I mean? Like whatever my catch speed
I'm
used
slightly
to be.
harder than that.
Because I feel like when people
I don't want to candy ass one over.
watch it there, I feel like when people get a chance to throw out a first pitch, they go so they lock
I feel
in
like it's
so
very
intense,
nerve-wracking.
and then they end up like it just hits the ground, and it's not great.
Yeah, I would prefer to throw a strike than to try to throw it hard.
Yeah, see, I think I'd be the one that probably would do all this extra stuff before I throw the pitch. Like, I'd probably do all the arms and stuff before I actually throw the pitch because that's just in my nature. I'd have fun with it on that end, and then I'd probably just, nice light blooper right into.
I think I would hate myself if I didn't give it like a good college effort.
But I probably would practice before.
I might try
Like,
a
the
little-
moment
Yeah, I
I
would
find
wanna
out,
practice
the
for
moment
sure.
I find out
Try
I'm
a
throwing
little
the first
Byung-Yun
pitch.
Kim sidearm action.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
nonsense.
Throw this football over
practicing.
the mountains. All right, so tomorrow, Zach Wheeler is on the mound versus Trevor Rogers. Then it looks like Christopher Sanchez is going to go Friday. Saturday, we get Aaron Nola. And then me on Sunday with the family, I get my sweet boy Ranger.
Oh my gosh!
So excited for
Finally it
that.
lines up because you're always like a day off.
Yeah, I always miss him. But this time I get
I'm
Ranger.
so happy for you.
Tomorrow, reminder, 6:20 start time because of the fireworks game after the show. We'll be doing post-game tomorrow here, and then Friday we'll be back at our normal 11 a.m. spot. But the Phillies take another series. Just stack those series wins.
15 series that they've won. They are halfway to that 30 mark in their 27 series.
Dusty
that they've
Watham
played
has
in.
anything to say about that, they're not going to get there.
Oh, dang, Jamie. You had to do one more before. One more Dusty dig for the road. And that is our 5th Dusty dig of the day. We're going to have to start keeping track.
I'm just kidding. I just don't understand what happened
Much
in the
like
first
my
inning.
fantasy counter, I think we need a Dusty
Nah,
digs counter for Jamie if this continues.
Well, just send guys on fly balls to the outfield when there's no outs and a man on third. I don't know. It's pretty simple.
So 15 series won,
Yeah.
6 have been split, 6 have been lost in
Yeah.
their 27 series that I'm now officially keeping track of.
And we will hopefully have an update on Spencer Turnbull tomorrow. Hopefully nothing serious there. But to everybody that tuned in, thank you. We appreciate you. You could spend your time anywhere, but you chose to spend it with us. That means you're sick in the head. But we appreciate you and
very
love you.
nice.
Yes, I mean, yeah. Hit that thumbs up button on the way out of there. Hopefully we'll meet some diehards tonight at the Sixers party. I think me and Renee are swinging through. But if not, we'll see you tomorrow here on the stream following, hopefully, a Sixers win over the Miami Marlins.
Sixers win.
Sixers draft. They're not drafting tonight. A Phillies win. Sixers
Oh
aren't.
boy.
Sixers
oh
are
boy.
not making a pick tonight. It's gonna be. There's gonna be a trade tonight.
You've hit on the
I've hit
Eagles today.
Eagles and Sixers. Yes.
I love that for you.
Yes.
Happy Wednesday on that note.
Yeah.
See you guys tomorrow for more.
Y'all silly like the